So I think we had finished naming, right? So what we can do is we can do some questions related to naming. Questions ढूंढ लेते हैं. So remember, this is like ABCs, TK. It's something that's very fundamental. They're not going to ask you a big question related to related to naming. Like, obviously, you won't be able to solve any question until you know how to name a compound. Okay, so don't expect a lot of direct questions, a lot of indirect questions. Okay, the whole question will be actually depending on your ability to actually understand what the name of the molecule is. So let's start. Let's start naming these. So I'm going to start with the first one. Okay, that's longest chain. That's एक second में इसका वो कर लूँ. Just a second. Let me close this. कहाँ पे था naming? Right at the end. Just a second. एक second. This one. So these questions. So let's start with the first one, okay, which is this molecule. It's you've got how many 3 carbon atoms? I mean the longest chain, okay. Focus on the longest chain. So that's 3 carbon atom. It's a saturated molecule. It's an alkane. So what is the main chain? That's propane, right? And you've got a branch. You've got a branch of 1 carbon atom. That's a methyl branch, okay. So that's a methyl branch. हाँ.
prop to n भी लिख सकते हैं ना?
नहीं.
अच्छा.
2 क्यों लिखना है? एन की तो कोई पोजीशन नहीं है. I mean, it's an alkane, right? It doesn't have. There's no functional group. You don't have to. I mean, there's no position for it. ठीक है.
Okay.
हाँ, methyl की position है that the methyl or the branch is on the second one. ठीक है. So remember remember you have the main chain. पहले वो figure out करना longest continuous carbon atom chain which has the suffix or the most important functional group. It should have the maximum double bonds, maximum functional groups attached to it. और फिर branches होती हैं. You write the branches in front of it, and then you have to write the position of each one of the branches. As the next one, okay, it's longest carbon atom chain. That's 4 carbon atoms in a straight line. That's 4. And now you've got 2 branches. So it's 4 carbon atom. The main chain is butane. It's again an alkane. Okay. So this one is butane. Or branches किसके 1 carbon atom. That's a methyl branch. And you've got or you've got 2 of them. तो वो dimethyl. ठीक है. That's. And one is at अगर counting करें ना, one is at 2 and the other one is 3. ठीक है. Clear है? 2,3 dimethyl butane. Is this clear?
Yes.
Yes.
So then this one. This happens to be, it's an alkane as well. It's all saturated. So this happens to be the longest carbon atom chain with a branch. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 6. Right? Okay, so that's. So this one is hexane. And there's a methyl shortest number there. So that's on the third one. Okay, this will be 4th. This will be 5. This will be. So it's 3 methyl hexane. Methyl is the branch. Is that clear?
Yes.
Yes.
So draw करना है. When you're doing the opposite, start with the main chain. That's an hexane. That means 6 carbon atoms. And then you write the branches on top of it. It's trimethyl, 3 methyls, 2 to 4. So that means 2 of the methyls are at. So that's 1 methyl, another methyl. All of them are at 2, and then there's another one at 4. ठीक है? And you can add in the hydrogens. There will be 3 H's with this one. There'll be 2 H's. It's 3 H's only. There's going to be 1 H. 1 H over here. 3 H's over here. 1 H. 3 H's with this one. And 3 H's with this one. As again, next one, bute one. Start with the main chain. Bute is how many carbon atoms? That's 4. So, or arbitrary, even start numbering it before that. I mean, this left side is 1, the right side is 4. 1-ene means that the double bond, there's a double bond. That is what 1-ene is. On the first one. And on this, so this is the first one. The third Kyopana, there's going to be a methyl. There's going to be another carbon atom branch. So third bit is a methyl, and then you put in the hydrogens. That's 3. And 2 H's. Is this clear?
जी सर.
Yes.
Achha, this case, man, the longest chain, remember, is not going to be the longest chain. It's not going to be this one. Why? Because I told you that the longest chain should have the maximum things in it. So, although that is the longest chain, but in this case, the longest chain will be, it's going to be this one. That's going to be your, so that's going to be your longest chain. That's 4 carbon atoms, so that's bute, ene. Like it's a diene, right? Because it got 2 double bonds, and one of them is at 1, and the other one is at 3, right? Is that clear?
जी सर.
और फिर एक branch है, इसको क्या कहेंगे? It's going to be called ethyl. So you got an ethyl branch which is at position number 2. So that's going to be it. So one thing I did not mention is, okay, when you're, so there's a very small thing. ठीक है, there's मतलब कोई इतनी important चीज नहीं है. When you're numbering things, let me add it over here. When you write 2 numbers, you put a comma between them. So when you write 2 numbers together, there's got to be a comma in between. So when you write a number and a letter alphabet, okay? So in that case, you're going to put a dash between them. So since you're naming it, you know how to name it. But whenever you see a number with a letter, you put a dash. That's got to be between it. Okay? So यहाँ पे ना, I'm actually using this कहाँ गया? So ये था ना? Like if you look at this, it's the 2 and the ethyl, they've got a dash in between. Okay? 4 number and letter together, there's got to be a dash in between. Meanwhile, if you have 2 numbers together, जैसा यहाँ पे था, I guess, इससे पिछले वाले में, नहीं कहाँ पे था 2 3. So if you have 2 numbers together, like over here, you're going to put a comma in between. Is that clear?
जी सर.
तो बस नाम लिखते हैं, नंबर और लेटर में डैश, और नंबर के बीच में there's going to be a comma. I said next one. This is again easy 4 carbon atoms. वो पहले वो बीच में एक draw करना था, sorry, वो कर लेते हैं. Start with pentane. That's 1 2 3 4 5 carbon atoms. I mean, this is the order I'm numbering it. Okay. On the second one, there's iodine, iodo. So the second one, there's an iodine, and on the third one, there's a methyl. That's 1 carbon atom. So add in the H's. That's 3 H's, 2 H's, 1 H, 3 H's, 1 H with this one. This one needs 3, so that's 3 H's. Okay, that's the molecule. इसका क्या नाम होगा? Hunaid, what's the name for this thing?
Thinking, sir. Oh,
Yeah, it's 4 carbon atoms. One, two, three, four, 4 क्या होता है? 4.
सर
हाँ जी.
सर ये ऐसा होगा ना, ब्यूट ब्यूटेन और 1,2 डायॉल.
ठीक है. It's a bute and it's an alcohol, right? So it's all right. And it is saturated, so it's going to be AN, not EN, butanol, okay? And you got 2 OH groups, so that means it's a diol. And the position of the 2 OH group, one is at 1, the other one is at 2. I mean, one is at 1, the second one. So they are the first and second carbon atoms. So it's butane 1,2-diol. Okay?
Okay, sir.
अच्छा, इसका बता दो, if you have a serial bond in the middle, what do you call it?
कीटोन.
ठीक है, that's a ketone. So 4 carbon atoms, so it's bute, मतलब 4 carbon atoms, longest chain, right?
जी
4 carbon atoms, that's bute. AN, क्योंकि, or ON, because it's a ketone, right? And what is the position of the ketone group? It's at the second, right? Clear?
जी जी सर.
Yes, sir.
Of a branch, there's a methyl branch. So there's a methyl branch on the third one. Okay. Remember, ketone is other importance thing, so you have to give a smaller number to the ketone. So that's why you're counting from the left side, not from the right side. So 3-methyl pentanol. Pentanol, first start with pentanol. Pent is 5 carbon atoms. It's it's an aldehyde. It is similar to a ketone, but the double bond O is at the end. ठीक है, ketones और aldehydes में ये फर्क है. ठीक है, the difference is that in ketones the double bond O is somewhere in the middle, and in aldehydes the double bond O is right at the end. ठीक है. I said don't confuse ketones with any other thing. Ketones and aldehydes are just serial bond O. That's it. So aldehyde has a high precedence, so this is going to be 1. This is the side where you're going to count it. Aldehyde is going to be given number 1. The third penna, on the third one, there's a methyl, so 1 carbon atom. So you can add the H's now. This one will have 1 H, this one will have 3 H's, and this one will also have 3 H's. Is this clear?
जी सर.
Yes.
अच्छा, अब ये कि if you look at this chiral form now, remember you end. I mean, this is carbon atom, this is carbon atom, and this is carbon atom. The end is iodine actually. Would the likha be iodine? I mean, the iodine is attached over there. So it's just 3 carbon atoms. 3 carbon atoms is prop. And it's obviously an alkane because there's no functional group, so it's an alkane, propane, with branches of iodine. Iodine is iodo. ये मैंने कहा था कि ये जो halogens होते हैं, they're always branches. So it's iodo, chloro, bromo, etc. Right? And you got 2 of them. So it's diiodo. One is at 1 and the other one is at 3. Is that clear?
जी सर.
Yes.
So ये जो बीच वाला part है ना, that's. अच्छा, this one again, it's these are carbon atoms. यहाँ से शुरू हो रहा है. So these are all, it ends over here. You got bromines attached at the end, right? So again, it's an alkane, right? Because there's no functional group. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 is what? Hept, tane, or your branches. So this one, and remember, branches are written alphabetically. So you got bromo and you got methyl. Methyl, bromo is going to be written first. So it's going to be bromo, and it's going to be methyl. जगह खत्म हो गई, एक second. ब्रोमो को आगे पुश कर देते हैं. अच्छा, and it's dibromo and it's dimethyl, दोनों दो हैं. And what are the positions? The bromo are at 1 and 7, and the methyls are at 3 and 5. Is this clear?
जी सर.
Yes, sir.
अच्छा फिर ये कि 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 carbon atoms. Again, this one is again heptane. And it is heptane and
सर ये वाला ट्राई करूँ?
हाँ बता दो.
सर ये होगा 17 डाइक्लोरो.
So ठीक है 1, 7.
35.
अच्छा this is dichloro. उसके बाद
और 345 ट्राई मिथाइल.
नहीं मिथाइल नहीं है.
और
नहीं मिथाइल नहीं है. This is how many carbon atoms? It's ये वाली भी. I mean ये तो main chain होगी ना. This is the main chain. Methyl नहीं है. What is that? Methyl है. There's one methyl actually. वो जो ऊपर वाले
मिथाइल है. ओ जी 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 सर समझ गया.
ethyl है. ठीक है. So two of them are ethyl. One of them is methyl, right? So 3,5 ethyl होगा. So you'll have 3,5 ethyl. और फिर वो बीच में ना there's going to be methyl alphabetically. Fourth one there's a methyl, right? Is that clear?
सर डाइथाइल हो जाएगा.
हाँ सॉरी डाइथाइल है. इसको थोड़ा
सर
हाँ but diethyl plus 4 methyl
आगे सर सर.
and then you have नाम क्या था इसका heptane. It was heptane. ठीक है that was the main chain. Is this clear?
जी सर.
Yes, sir.
अच्छा name the following. खुद ही name करो इसका. What's the name of this molecule? The first one. ये जो mark dots are carbon atom.
हेप्टेन.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The longest chain. Longest chain. That's the longest chain is this one. Hept है but it's not heptane. What is it? Suffix. What is the suffix? मतलब hept so ठीक है. Hept it is hept.
Ketone, sir.
It's a ketone. It's going to be
On.
and an it's saturated, so there's going to be an heptanone, right? What is the position of the ketone?
3.
ठीक है. It's on. ठीक है. Remember ketone has वो क्या था precedence वाला जो था वो order. I mean look at the order. Like the ketones are the most important group in this case. So this is 6, this is 7. So the ketone is at 3. ठीक है. हाँ, and there's a branch as well. वो कौन सी है? It's a 1 carbon atom branch.
मिथाइल.
ठीक है. On the 5th one, ठीक है. 5 methyl. Heptane 3-on. ठीक है. That's heptane 3-on. Next piece. All 3 are ketones actually. ये क्या होगा? What is the name of this one?
हेक्स 2 ऑन होगा आखिर में. और
Hex है या hept है?
सर हेप्ट.
ठीक है. तो hept क्या होगा? Hept 2-on.
हेप्टेन. जी सर 2 ऑन होगा.
ठीक है. यानी
और
this counting will be started from this side. 3, 4, 5, 6,
Hmm.
and 7. And what is this?
5 इथाइल.
ठीक है. On the 5th one, there's an ethyl. There's 2 carbon atoms. I mean, the 2 carbon atoms. ठीक है. So 5 ethyl. ये तो simple है. क्या होगा?
हेप 3 ऑन हो।
1 2 3 hept है 4 5 6 hept ही है।
Hept है, it's hept.
ठीक है, so it's going to be hept known 3 on। अच्छा, finally this is I think 2 on ही होगा, right?
जी सर।
Yep.
अच्छा, remember if the double bond O was right at the end, it would have been an aldehyde. तो on की बजाय it would be al, heptanal, right? अच्छा, now this one.
But sir, for aldehydes we don't write the H
नहीं, it's
connected to the C, sir.
what do you don't write?
The H connected to the C for aldehydes when drawing a skeletal.
You can do that. You can also not do that. Normally, the CH bonds, I mean, usually you show functional groups. Like if you, for example, if I have a carboxylic acid, right? So normally what is done is it's written as double bond ON, OH, right? So you show the functional group. The problem is with the CH. I mean, the CH is, I mean, the H's that are attached to the C, they're not usually shown. So, so if you had an aldehyde, they would most likely just show you this. They won't, I mean, the H's that are connected to the C, they're not usually shown in the skeletal formula. Even if it's not shown, it's still the same thing, right? वो H's जो है ना वो आप खुद ही ना, you just at the end of the day you just add them up yourself. So next one is the next thing is draw the skeletal formula of 3-ethyl 2,4,5 trimethyl heptane. So you're going to start with heptane. 6 7. अच्छा, अब बताओ कि 3-ethyl. On the third one, there's an ethyl, which means 2 carbon atoms. And on 2,4,5, there's trimethyl. Trimethyl means 3 methyls. 2,4,5. One is at 2, one is at 4, and one of them is at 5. बस बाकी H's add कर लो, ठीक है? That's going to be 3, 1H, 3 H's. ये तो clear है ना कि how you're going to add the H's, ठीक है?
जी सर।
ठीक है, 3 H's, 1 H with this. Just count the number of bonds or फिर, I mean, this one needs 3 H's, this one needs 2 H's. That's the molecule. What is this?
सर इसमें एक अच्छा ये COH है, तो सर ये एस्टर हो जाएगा।
नहीं, what is serial bond OH? Ester थोड़ी होता है। Ester तो हमने किया ही नहीं है. We haven't studied esters or their naming.
नहीं सॉरी, ऑइक होता है, सॉरी।
Carboxylic acid
सो
है ना?
जी जी।
तो 4 है,
जी
तो it's going to be butanoic acid, ठीक है? AN होगा, EN होगा?
EN होगा।
ठीक है, it's going to be
अनसैचुरेटेड।
हाँ, unsaturated. It's got a double bond in it, ठीक है? So it's going to be EN. And what is the position of the EN? काउंटिंग कहाँ से करोगे? कौन सा सबसे सिग्निफिकेंट ग्रुप है?
कार्बोक्सिलिक।
ठीक है, मतलब कार्बोक्सिलिक एसिड जो है वो लिस्ट में ना, it's at the top, it's the most
From the
important.
right, yeah.
So you're going to count from the right, ठीक है? So this is 1, this is 2. The double bond is at the third one. It's but 3-enoic acid. फिर तो ये वाला भी कर लेते हैं. What's the main chain? What's the, I mean, there is just one main chain actually, which is this one. So it's 4 carbon atoms. It's but, right? What do you call it?
EN.
सर AN होगा।
AN होगा. It's all single bonds. I mean, the carbon bonds are single bonds. Acha, what would be the suffix? Remember, it's a carboxylic acid, plus it's an alcohol as well.
जी sir.
So, किसकी basis पे naming? I mean, what is going to be the suffix? Who's more important, carboxylic acid or alcohols? Like,
Folic acid.
so it's alcohols don't have, and remember, alcohols, if you don't name the molecule on the alcohol, you would call it a hydroxy branch. So you're going to call it oic acid, and the alcohol will then become, since you're not naming the main chain on it, it's going to be called a hydroxy branch. So you got two branches. You got a chloro branch and you got a, alphabetically, I think chloro will come first. Followed by hydroxy. What is the position of chloro and hydroxy?
3.
Carboxylic acid से start करना है, so it's going to be 3 chloro and 2 hydroxy, right? Is that clear?
जी sir.
Yes.
अच्छा, इस पे the next one, it's a, so this one is a 3, it's got 3 carbon atoms, so that's prop, right?
जी sir.
क्या होगा? It's an alcohol and it's an amine, तो क्या होगा?
हम alcohol को
Remember वो
तो
फिर
आखिर में OH.
मतलब 5th पे alcohol है, 6th पे amine, so alcohol are more important, ठीक है? So it's going to be propanol, ठीक है? You're going to call it a propanol molecule, and the amine will then become a branch. It will be called an amino branch, which is at position number 1. मतलब OH तो दोनों साइडों से 2 है, so you're going to give the smaller number to the amino group, so that's at 1. ठीक है, इधर से count कर लो, because overall you get the smaller numbers from the right side.
जी sir.
अच्छा, फिर ये भी I think something similar, which is let's just finish this. Longest chain is should have the maximum groups attached to it, should have double bonds, everything. So that's your main chain. That's 4 carbon atoms, bute, and it's an alkene, so that's ene.
और all होगा.
Actually, and it's going to be an alcohol, because that's the, which side will you count from, right side or left side?
Left side.
Because alcohol is the most important group, so you have to give alcohol the smaller number. So you're going to count everything from the left side, 1, 2, 3, and 4. So the ene will be at position number 3, and the alcohol will be at position number 2. Or बाकी पे branches are methyl and NH2. So that's NH2 is amino, and you've got a methyl as well. So methyl is at position number 2, and amino is at position number 1. ठीक है, clear?
जी sir.
Yes.
तो बस important जो चीज है ना वो ये कि you have to know the formulas in and out, and you have to inside out, and you have to know the naming as well. It's something that's going to be very basic. They might give you the skill formula of this thing, so that's 4 carbon atoms. You just need to know, okay, it's going to look something like this. And there's a double bond, and on the second one there's another carbon atom. You got an OH as well. On the first one there's an NH2, right? So I guess that's how the skill formula would look like. If they ask you for the displayed formula, then you have to draw every single bond. Okay. If they might also write this formula in one line, which is the condensed structural formula, that would kind of look like this: that there's an NH2 left to right up chale jao. NH2, then there's a CH2, then there's a C which has an OH branch and a CH3 branch. Okay, the 2 separate branches. Then there's a CH, and then there's a double bond, and then there's a CH2. Okay, so there are all sorts of ways of writing formulas. Plus your name वगैरह पता होना चाहिए, ठीक है? So is this all clear?
जी sir.
Yes.
So अच्छा, ये basics है. We'll just obviously when we do past paper question, everything, it's going to come up again and again. Or yaad rakha, kabhi the whole question depends on your ability to actually understand skeletal formulas, and direct questions nahi honge, it's all going to be indirect. बल्कि डायरेक्ट भी हो सकते हैं इसके यहाँ पे नेमिंग की एक और वर्कशीट है एक से बस ऐसे वो कहीं और पड़ी होगी चलो वापस इस पे आते हैं कि what's the next thing ठीक है the next thing is again kind of related to formulas and that's did we do isomers? We didn't do isomers, right?
Yeah, not yes.
एक सेकंड लोड होने दो So now isomers is it's kind of the same thing as O-levels, except that it's going to be just a lot more extended version of that. Like, the idea is the same. I mean, what were isomers, by the way? Well, what was the definition of isomers in O-levels, if you remember it? A simple version of it. What was it?
Same molecular formula, different structure.
Different structure, right? So it's अच्छा तो होता ये कि why isomers are important, that's the first thing. Why do we study isomers? The reason is कि when you let's say कोई आपने ना you've extracted some organic molecule, so you want to figure out what the structure looks like. The very first thing that you actually get is the number of atoms in it. तो आपको I mean, you don't get this picture. I mean, there's no camera where you just take a picture of a molecule and it tells you, okay, this is how it looks like. Okay, that's not going to happen. Actually, no one has ever actually seen a molecule. I mean, no one knows actually this in reality looks like this. It's just a very good intelligent guess that the molecule probably looks like this. Okay. So इसका सोच लो कि there's a dark room and you're like उसको ना हाथों से आप ना feel करके देख रहे हो कि like if there's a chair in a dark room, you'll probably figure out that it's a chair, right? By just so you've got analytical techniques, and those techniques kind of tell you. So without even looking at the molecule, without actually having a camera that can take a picture of a molecule, you can pretty much be very confident about what the molecule looks like. लेकिन जो starting point होता है ना, that's a lot of guesswork, and that's where isomerism comes in. For example, so isomers ये होंगे कि the first thing that you're going to figure out about a molecule is you'll probably figure out the number of atoms in it. Like you can have maybe it has so you figure out the number of carbon atoms very accurately. There's 2 carbon atoms, 4 hydrogens, and there are 2 oxygens. So that's the first thing that you're going to, and you're not going to guess. It's just a confirmed mole center. You will figure out that it's got this ratio. You can find empirical formulas. You can figure out the mass. Okay. So you can be pretty sure that the molecule is C2H4O2. But now the next thing is you don't know how it looks like. So uske liye you would make a lot of guesses. Maybe it looks like this. That there's a double bond with an OH and there are 3 hydrogens, right? So that is known as one isomer. So isomer is basically just a rough guess of how the molecule might look like. But then there are a lot of other versions in which C2H4 and O2 could be arranged. It could look like this as well. There's one OH over here, and there's an H, and there's another. Now that is also C2H4 O2. Or it might look like this as well, that the double bond O might be on the other one. Or दूसरी side पे ना there's an OH. Or maybe the oxygen could be in the middle with a double bond O. So that could also be C2H4O2, right? और क्या हो सकता है? I mean, the double bond one, or maybe the double bond and the two OH groups are on the same carbon atom. अच्छा, और कोई version हो सकती है कि हाँ, there could be a cyclic version as well. Maybe the oxygen is kind of like this, and there's an OH and there's an H, and there are two H's with this one. So you could have a cyclic molecule, and that's also C2H4O2, I think. Structurally ठीक है. अच्छा, what else? I guess that's probably it. So idea clear है कि why do we need isomerism? Why do we study isomerism? Okay, अब next step ये होगा कि you don't know what the structure looks like. You don't have a picture of it. So what you're going to do is that all of these molecules, they will have different chemical and physical properties. Like a carboxylic acid will behave as a carboxylic acid. It's going to have a low pH. It's going to, I mean, the certain, so if you can carry out tests, you can figure out that the molecule is probably this one. Okay? Is that clear? कि आप कैसा figure out करते
जी
हो?
सर.
But इसके अलावा chemical tests होते हैं, there's a lot of physical tests as well, and there are a lot of analytical techniques that you're going to study later on as well. A levels maybe. NMR होता है, infrared होता है, ठीक है. You can get ideas about what bonds are present, like if there's a double bond, O, if there's an OH group, ठीक है, so you can get ideas about that as well. तो इस तरह आप guesswork करते हैं and you figure out which isomer is the correct one. So that's why isomers are very important in organic chemistry, ठीक है. Coronavirus आया था, so I mean, the first thing is they don't have a picture. Okay, this is what coronavirus looks like. They'll do all sorts of thousands of tests, different techniques, and they'll try and figure out the properties of the structure of the coronavirus and how it behaves. So that's a lot of guesswork, and that's where isomerism comes in, and the ability to draw isomers comes in. अच्छा, अब इसकी definition लिख लेते हैं. अब जो first one, जो definition बताई थी ना अभी, the first one, that definition is for a specific type of isomer that's known as a structural isomer. So that's the first version of an isomer. That's your O levels isomer. That's, you already know about the structural isomers. ये जो मैंने बनाया ना, they're all actually structural isomers. ठीक है, these ones over here, they're all structural isomers. Structural isomers क्या होते हैं? They're basically a rearrangement of the atoms in a different way. So the definition still works. O levels wali, that's same molecular formula. Molecules having same molecular formula. As a same molecular formula and different structural formulas. ठीक है, ये clear है?
जी सर.
Yes.
So molecules having same molecular formula, different structural formula. इसका एक चीज याद रखना कि a bent twist. Remember, this is not how the molecule looks like. ठीक है? Like if I pick the middle one, ठीक है? Remember this. Make sure you know what is not a structural isomer. It has to be a rearrangement or a different or a new way in which atoms get connected. So for example, if I have this molecule over here, इसी को अगर मैं उल्टा पुल्टा करके draw कर लूँ ना, that's not what an isomer is. Like if I draw it like this, okay, there's an O and there's a C over here with a double bond O, and it's got an H, and you got so you got three H's. Now, if you look at the two molecules, they would apparently look different, but these are exactly the same. ये नजर आ रहे हैं कि they're exactly the same.
जी सर.
ठीक है, they're exactly the same.
Yes.
क्योंकि You got serial bond O and H, serial bond O and H. Next door there's an oxygen, there's an oxygen. After that there's a CH3, there's a CH3. So remember, it's these are not the actual shapes of the molecule. The actual shapes of the molecules are like very different. This is just showing which atom is connected to which atom. So this is not literally the shape. I mean, the actual shape of a molecule of, let's say, ethanoic acid जो है ना वो तो 3-dimensional होगी. ये जो structural formulas हैं, they just show मतलब यहाँ पे shape होगी ना, तो shape would actually अच्छा कहीं पे भी shape नहीं दी हुई. हाँ तो ये एक सेकंड से बेहतर है कोई. हाँ ये सही है 3-dimensional. अच्छा, in reality this is how ethanoic acid would look like. It's a 3-dimensional molecule. That's a carbon. गायब भी हो गया एक सेकंड. तो खैर आइडिया हो गया होगा कि ये वाली कर लेते हैं. There's going to be a carbon and fan-shaped trigonal pyramidal tetrahedral, sorry, 3 H's in 3 dimensions. There's another carbon with a double bond O, and then there's an OH. This is what the actual shape of the molecule looks like. So याद रखना, जो structural formulas होते हैं, they don't actually show you the shape of the molecule. They just show you which atom is connected to which atom. I mean, this structural formula, they're exactly the same. There's no difference because तो OH नीचे की तरफ है, OH ऊपर की तरफ है, that doesn't really matter in structural formulas. Is that clear?
जी सर.
Yes.
तो चलो ठीक है, ये O levels वाला है structural isomers. Same thing. ये फिर next class में ना discuss करते हैं detail में, ठीक है?
ओके सर.
चलिए. Okay, take care. Allah Hafiz.
अल्लाह हाफिज़.
Thank you, sir. Allah Hafiz.